Talk about doors today. Had a couple of inquiries about how I did them, how to do them, what's the tricks, my doors don't fit, so on and so forth. There's a lot of information out there. There's some horror stories I've seen online. There's some videos of people shimming, splitting the door, putting an inch of filler in this area down here on the driver's door. Things like that. So we'll go over some of that today. I'm no expert on these. All I'm going to do is show you what I did, which is basically, I did the research online and I found out what seemed to be working and what didn't seem to be working for people, and just kind of went down that road. So these are not perfect. I would call them really good. Don't know as you're going to get them perfect. I didn't really care to get them perfect. I just wanted them to look like they were supposed to. So that's what I did. I wanted the inboard edge of the door to be rolled instead of straight down, because I think that aesthetically, if you look and you continue the rolling of this door over into the cowl up here, the dash part, and then also roll it back here and kind of pick up that contour, I think it looks better than if they're just straight. So it seems to be that on the majority of these cars, this kit was from the middle of 2020. Okay, just to give you a reference point. This was when they incorporated the 25th anniversary mods into the car, so it's after that point, just barely. So when I got this and fitted the body to it and the windshield, I had the traditional problems with this door here. This area was in. This area here, with my best adjustment, was a little low, right through here. Not much, 1/16 of an inch maybe. So what I did, in my mind, the whole time that I was doing this door, and the prevailing thoughts online were, get it to fit the best that you can for the minimal amount of body work. Common sense, right? So that makes sense to me. So what I did and it took quite a while to adjust it. The body went on the car. The windshield was in its correct position. Very important. This puts downward pressure here. You see where that's going? I've seen mixed signals on the front splash guards that they have to be in. I put mine in, and they weren't. This one was so short on this side for whatever reason. They weren't affecting the front of the body. So I actually, when I fit these, I did not have those in. That worked for me. I don't know if that's correct or if there is even a correct way. So I see different opinions online. So body on and in the correct position. Now, what I mean by in the correct position, this is probably the most important thing that I found to getting these doors for best fit. The body has got to be in the right position. This edge of the body right here, you want 1/4 of an inch at least in front of the bracket for this door latch. I have the old style door latches. So this needs to be forward of there. On this body, that wasn't possible on this side. It's possible on the passenger side, as you can see, has a pretty good amount forward of here. However, over there, it's a little bit less than a quarter. So I took a tape measure and I started measuring things, and the door opening on this side is not as wide as it is on the passenger side. I think that's why I had trouble with that. Either that or the body is tweaked. I don't know. It doesn't matter. So I tightened up back here to push this forward. The body is in the best position that it can possibly be in. I fought with it. I tried to get it better. It's not possible. This is where the body wants to be. It's, I guess you could say, the sweet spot. And as you're assembling it, you'll see that. So with the body in the correct position, fully bolted down front and rear, no bolts in the rockers underneath, windshield on, that's when I started to fit the doors. So initial fitment was putting the door in the hole, getting it the best that I could fore, aft, up and down, not worrying about in and out right now. And then I trimmed it up. Now what I used to trim these doors up, measurement wise, is a normal paint stick with 150 sandpaper wrapped around it twice. The round sheets, the sticky backs, just wrap it around twice. That gave me 3/16 of an inch gap, which is what I wanted. So initial cut, 3/16, a little bit less at that point, just because it wasn't in its final home yet. Then I went back and adjusted again, keeping in my head, adjust it for best fit. Not going to be perfect, but best fit, least amount of filler. So when I got done gapping and tweaking and fitting as best I could, as I said in an earlier video, and this was just something that I grabbed off of, I think it was a forum post from one of the guys that paints these. You have 2 rocker bolts down here, okay? I slotted those, slotted the body, so that the rocker will move in and out. The forward area here on the driver's side, you want pushed in as far as you can. And back here, you want this pulled out as far as you can. Theory being, the way that this is constructed, this area on most cars is low. It's sunk in. Don't know if the door is warped. Don't know. I have no idea why. This area back here, in order to bring this out, you need to pull the body out here. Okay, so in as far as you can up here, pull it out as much as you can back here, and then lock that rocker down. You have to tweak it a little bit here and there. Remember, to get it best fit, least amount of filler. So I did all that. When I got done with that, I ended up with this area, about from here to here, just less than 1/8 of an inch recessed from the body. Everything else on this door was fairly good. In order to get that, the top of the door I had out just a little bit, so this part of the door was actually higher than this area of the body. Again, maybe 1/16 of an inch, wasn't much at all. So once I got the door to that point where it was adjusted and the initial gap rough cut was done, I started on the filler. So basically I was low here, I was low here just a little bit, and I was low in this area down here. The rest of it was okay. So I used Rage Gold, spatulaed basically from the top up there all the way down and around to here on the first coat. Let that cure just for a minute, then cut it with a putty knife around to there. Let that cure, and then block sand it with a longboard. And that got me fairly close right here. Then I skimmed, coated with Rage Gold the whole thing, all the way around, and extended that out a little bit and kind of feathered it in. Basically here, everything down there had skin coat on it, and then just kept block sanding it until it was smooth. The inner edges of the door, that's a whole different ball game there. So as everybody knows, these are two-piece doors, two pieces of fiberglass anyway, with steel plate reinforcements in there. And the inner edge of the door, there's a seam that runs along here. And this is basically flat with that seam right there. But like I said earlier, I wanted a nice contour between the dash, the door, and back to here. So how I did that, again, just researching online, the consensus being that I did not put any Rage up here for starters. I used 3M's high strength repair filler. That stuff is expensive. I think it was $125 a quart. I used every single bit of a quart on this car. 90% of it ending up on the ground. But so yeah, that stuff is fantastic. It's extremely durable. But boy, I'll tell you what, you need to be accurate when you put that on, because sanding it is a nightmare. Stuff is as hard as concrete. Yeah, so what I did, I cut this down, got rid of any wax that was in there, and any voids or pinholes I ground out, got that ready to go. And then you can use a piece of radiator hose, split lengthwise, so it gives you that nice radius. I used a bottle similar to this. I just cut the top off, cut it here, and then split it down that way, and that gave me a nice tool to contour it. So I applied the Rage Gold basically from this area, or not the Rage Gold, the 3M high strength filler, basically from this area all the way up, and then I cupped that piece of bottle in my hand and ran it along it, and that formed the contour. So I let that cure, sanded that, and then started to fill in and build up with Rage Gold until I got the nice rolled motion that I wanted. So this basically, you can just see right here where my fingernail is. That's the top edge of the door. The rest of that comes down, and then this just extends just beyond the fiberglass seam. So basically from this area to this area, and the same thing underneath is filled in with high strength repair filler. You could do it with fiberglass. I didn't see any reason to. The HSRF is plenty right there. And that's basically it for doing the doors. One other thing to remember is, and this helped me too, these are in 3D. Okay? You've got the body and you've got the door, so you have two separate components that you can work with to get that door to fit. Remember, it's opening, but it's also coming forward. So this edge of the door inside of here is beveled back. Well, if you look in there, you'll see that that's rolled and beveled, just a slight amount. That gives me a little bit more room there. I didn't really have to do anything with the door in here, except clean it up and level it out. Same thing with here. I had one area about where the edge of that flashlight is where I had to build it up just a little bit in there. But yeah, not much. So, and then I just matched this to this. So there's a little bit of filler here. Basically the same thing as doing the outer skin of the door. Just fill it up with the door closed and then start block sanding. Time consuming, yes. I'm not a bodywork expert. If I'm capable of doing it, anybody's capable of doing it. So there's enough info out there and enough resources to get you through it. I wouldn't say that this is a difficult car to do. I've done one fiberglass car in the past. That was a dune buggy many moons ago. So I was familiar with fiberglass, but yeah, not terrible. Very dusty, very dirty. That's why I didn't film a lot of that. Yeah, my garage was an absolute disaster. So that's basically it for doors. Trick is have the body in the correct position. No compromise on that. Adjust the rocker. Best fit for least amount of filler. Got any other comment or questions or anything on the doors? Just leave it down below.